Nice. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to another stream. So, usual boring stuff first. Disclaimer, not a financial advisor. I'm a clown. This is for entertainment purposes only, etc. Now that's out of the way. We'll move on to the market overview. So, today I'm going to cover Bitcoin, take a look at the fractal that I posted back in July. We'll look at gold and BTC pair, gold, SPX, Trump Media, Tesla, MicroStrategy, potentially ETH, and then we'll run through the totals, others dominance, Bitcoin dominance, quick look at Solana, and a couple of Aptos trades that I took yesterday to run you through those, just to show you a couple of examples. So I'm aware the market is going to open in around 20 minutes. So I'll try and run through a few things quickly first, and then we'll take a look probably back on this screen and see how everything reacts. And notice pre-market that the likes of Trump, Media, MicroStrategy, and a few others pre-market are already well above yesterday's close. So I'm expecting some volatility on the open there. All right. So first things first, go over to Bitcoin and that fractal that I posted. Bear with me a second, just going to make sure this is definitely recording. Yeah, okay, we're good. Right, so hopefully the picture is okay, the sound quality is okay. If not, for those of you in Discord, just please give me a message or even send me a DM on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, all right? So what I'm going to do with this now, I'm actually going to do a little replay, use a replay tool. I'm going to bring it back to here, okay? So back then, I don't know if you remember very well, but a lot of people were, I'd say, bullish and expecting higher prices and a breakout from here. And no one really thought it was going to come back anywhere near here, sweep those lows. It was completely not in the question. So I just noticed this pattern forming, and I thought, especially, I'll put it out there and see the reaction that I get. And the amount of people that were saying, there's no way this is going to happen, definitely not, etc. I thought, this might actually be a possibility. And, as we can see, if you wind it forward, I think it was in the space of 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. Moving this on, bang. Okay, so within the space of 2 weeks, it already hit that level, pretty savage flush, and then starts to recover to the upside. Try and speed this up. Right, so I'm going to stop it in a second. Right, so when it started to do this, my first instinct was, right, it's reacted well from the top of this candle, that wick, and, well, from this reaction. And when it spent a lot of activity or time below this level, there's a good chance it's going to punch through, because I believe people are trying to short this high. And you know what that means when they get stopped out or liquidated? It's forced buying, okay? So if you move that forward briefly, you can see it starting to push. Bang. So that's what you wanted to see, a close and a break through it, all right? I'm pretty sure it was this candle right here. So I think a good area to tee off was this high right here. And you'll notice it actually back test straight into it. And I remember people getting super bearish, hence this little note right here. I noticed the timeline was going absolutely insane when they seen this little bit of price action. And what we're talking, it was like less than 5%, and the timeline was going absolutely crazy. And I thought, still looks fine to me, still above this trend line, still holding this high. Nothing to worry about quite yet. Okay, we had this bullish reaction, keep pushing through, and then bang. So my only reservation with this high so far was we're running into the previous high here, and I was also conscious of the upcoming election. Okay, and we'll see now it does get pushed back a little bit. And again, this is where people start to get super bearish, saying the weekly look fucking terrible, not looking good. And to be honest, when it got to that point, it didn't look great, but I do believe, the market was de-risking a little bit going into this, because it wasn't a complete no-brainer that Trump was going to win the election. Let's face it. So there's probably people sideline, maybe de-risking leading into it, and obviously you had the panic of other people trying to de-risk last minute, which sort of created this candle. And then again, it just continued to consolidate. And I thought the more time it spends above this trend line and this high here, the more I'm going to sway to being bullish and expect some sort of continuation. And as we approached, well, brought us to here now, it's just sort of skipped, but I'm sure you get the picture. Well, yeah, in terms of that, I think looking at this structure right now, historically, it's probably not the greatest idea to try and fade something that's in price discovery. It's not something I do personally. The reason why I say that is because where's your invalidation point? There's fucking nothing up here. If you really desperately want to short something, then what you want to do is wait for some sort of structure to form where it does this, maybe this. Then you've got something there to short off, and you've got an invalidation point, for this. If that were to happen, for example, okay, it doesn't make sense to think, right, the price is super overbought today. I'm going to try and short it, blast you out. Next day, oh, do you know what? It's gone up too much. It's going to, it's surely going to go down this time, and then it becomes a never-ending cycle of, just continuously getting stopped out till you eventually catch it. Bearing in mind at that stage, you've already, lost your confidence. Your position size is probably tiny because you're that sick of getting your ass handed to you. And not only that, because of what's happened, if this trade that you've taken does become into a winner, then you're probably going to cut it short, right? So that's the way I look at things anyway. I prefer not to try and, aimlessly try and short something, all right? So next, we'll take a look at, do you know what, actually, we'll go to gold first. So you can see there, parabolic structure, broke the all-time high back here. So if we pop this in here, consolidated, broke through. Weirdly enough, whenever I think you can probably see here a little bit if you zoom in on the daily time frame, there's some sort of weakness. There's a bearish engulfing there. So I think people were actually preempting gold potentially going down post-election because that happened last time, right? Which is going to bring me on to my next point, because I actually believe that gold is going to rotate into Bitcoin. And if you look at the structure now, gold versus Bitcoin, look at that, right? Let's zoom out just so you can get a better picture of this. So obviously here, this is when Bitcoin went down, bottomed out, and that's when Bitcoin started to trend back up again. So it's probably a better way of maybe, let's try this, right? Let's just assume this is Bitcoin going up, just to make it look easy. And now look at this here. So there's Bitcoin's consolidation. And now look, all right? So on the monthly time frame, to me, looks like there's a pole, there's the flag, potential continuation, and then you have these lows. Yeah. So do I expect it to break through that low first time? Maybe not. But if it does get below here, then it's going to get much worse for gold and much better for Bitcoin. All right. So again, I think rotation from gold into Bitcoin should happen in the near term. Right. SPX. So we can see already from the previous levels that I had in, it actually respects them pretty well on the monthly time frame. You got your midpoint there. It's actually broke above the 618 extension. If we go down to a lower time frame, probably a bit too low. Let's try the daily. You can see here there's a downtrend break on this move. I think this is when the market was. I can't really remember actually. I think the whole market tanked here, and then this was a key pivot point that it needed to reclaim. And you can see there, bounce, wick tested that level, and you can see it's key because that was the origin of the all-time high. You also have deviation there, and that's brought us to this move, broke out the all-time high. And if you run previous all-time high to here, you see roughly that's what provided to be the extension to where it went there, and now it's dropped down to here. So how do I think this is going to go in the next couple of months? I mean, it's hard to tell. I'd be lying if I, give you an accurate prediction on what I think may happen with this, because you could argue at the minute, I mean, that doesn't look fantastic, if you take a look at it from that way. So you want to see it at least get back above here, in my opinion. Suppose if it's above the 618 extension for now, it's kind of okay. However, I'd be very careful if it was to fall back below here if you're trading this one. And that's where it's probably going to head towards. Okay. I'm on now 20 past, right? I'm just trying to keep track of time so I don't miss the open, right? What have we got next on the list? Tell you what, we'll look at MicroStrategy, which has actually been, on a tear of its own. You can see there, closing price 227, and if we get the percentage tool out, pre-market from the close, markets there's a nearly 11% pre-market pump. So I'm very much expecting a lot of volatility here, and you can see, look where the price actually bottomed out here, where it fell into. You have this right here. You also have this candle where it retested that high, pushed up, back down again. And now, obviously, when this opens, it's going to do something like this. Okay? It's going to be hitting this high. Now, if it's to run both of these highs, then I'd probably anticipate continuation and push further. And I think if MicroStrategy is to go up, then I'm expecting the likes of Bitcoin, Tesla, anything, or Trump media. We'll get onto that one in a minute. Anything to do with Trump, Elon, Saylor, I think is going to do quite well. Okay. Tesla, try and get rid of some of this out of the way. Go on to a higher time frame. So this is something that I put out there a while ago, and that green zone after the breakout of this downtrend was the area I was actually highlighting. You can see there it's had a few nice touches, and the pre-market is right the way up here. So I'm going to say that's probably about 15% if I had to guess. So close was actually okay. 12% nearest damage, so slightly ahead of MicroStrategy, but pretty much the same, which is a good sign. Running into the highs on the left-hand side here, so around 280. I expect to be some resistance. Just pull the volume profile up to see how this looks. Right, so there's not really a great deal going on there, I don't think. But what we do know and what we can see right now is clear downtrend, break, deviation back within the trend, back above, up again. And now it has this activity out of here. You can see this kind of fucked up double head and shoulders. So this is something that I've noticed happen quite a lot over the last 12 to 18 months. They like to print a second right shoulder just to fuck you over, when you try and anticipate that head and shoulder neckline breakout and retest. I don't know why you try and take it here because it technically didn't break this high. However, if you did, this is how they flush you out first. And then you can see now the price going to be back above here again. Okay. Which is a good thing because if that breaks above and does something like this, then I think it should continue to perform well for the rest of the year and into 2025. Trump Media. No surprise, yesterday had a little flush to try and take people out. You can see that. Horrible looking monthly candle. But what you notice here, look at all this activity on the volume profile. There's the point of control. Clean reaction. Same thing again. Pre-market, 32% from yesterday's close. Okay. Similar thing again. Gets above, you can see here on the right hand side of the volume profile, there's basically fuck all above here. And if this were to break out and reclaim the, let's see, mid 40s to 50 level, let's get this out of the way. Run this high. It'd be a good area to key off here where this activity is. Because you can see there, clear support around the 45s, breakdown, back up again, rejection, back above rejection. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a box in there so we can you can visualize this a little bit better. Right, okay. So you can see there around the mid 40s, rejection didn't get back. Well, it got up, couldn't stay up, tried to reclaim it there, fell back down, up, rejection, up. So I think if this time you can see here, it's fighting that level again. If it does get above here this time, I'm going to anticipate this time it actually will reclaim this. And what you want to see is this area hold. And then that'll look good as we head into 2025. Right, so just conscious that we've got 4 minutes until the open. So what else have we got to touch on briefly before we move over? Take a look at dominance, shall we? We can see here, that was, when was that done? Move this out of the way. So my sort of prediction, when was that? Back in August, that we get some sort of continuation here, and it sort of ran the highs, and it still isn't stopping, which isn't ideal for altcoins at the moment. So we just pull back out of this a little bit and try and see if there's any areas of interest where Bitcoin may stall here. I've noticed there's some activity around the low 60s. You can see wick there, wick here. So if we were to run that through here, it's sort of getting to that point where there's potential resistance. However, this is just a rough guide. But at the same time, if Bitcoin dominance is going up, then all you need to be doing is looking at the altcoins that are still continuing to outperform. Because if they do, if this does round off, what altcoins do you think are going to move first? The ones that have already been showing strength, regardless of Bitcoin dominance increasing. All right. Take this replay off for a minute. Take that off. Apologies if you're on mobile. I imagine this might be quite small on the screen. I would have had more up just so we can see more markets. But for now, we've got MicroStrategy up. See there, the pre-market. Still trading around 260. Gold sort of falling off a cliff. This is the hour time frame on gold, by the way. I'm not sure why MicroStrategy is on the daily and everything else is on the hourly, so I'm going to change that to the 1 hour. Do you know what? Set to 5 minutes. We'll do all of them to 5 minutes and just see how volatile this price action opens up. Hopefully I catch this before it opens. Got another minute left to sort this out. What I'll do is on another screen, I'll go back to Bitcoin and just see what happens with that. What I'm going to do is going to hide all the drawings and all the indicators for now, just so we can see that clearly. Take a look at the 5-minute chart and see what happens when the market opens. I think I've got an indicator somewhere. This one. Do you know what I think I've done? No, that can't be right. I think something isn't right here. Don't know why it's showing that, because it's clearly the markets haven't opened yet, hence pre-market MicroStrategy on the stocks. Either way, we'll go back and forth between Bitcoin and these four here. Okay. Markets opened. Gold seems to continue to go down. You can see here, massive jump from MicroStrategy, and it's already starting to get sold off. Gone from 260 to 255 already. Not a great deal going on USD. Might as well just fuck that one off completely. Try and take a look at. Let's bring up Tesla instead. Just going to go back and make sure the sound. Yeah, okay. Just making sure the captions are still working. The sound was still on, because last time I got so far and it went off. So it's good to see it's actually working. Hopefully the picture's still okay as well. I've noticed dropping a few frames here. Not entirely sure why. So Tesla, you can see, opened at 285. Small retrace. Looks like they're already getting bought up by the looks of it. So the pre-market had maybe scalpers coming in, trying to sell that off, and now it's already getting bought up. There's one hell of a gap that's been left behind. If we look Trump media and see how that's looking, okay. That's gone from basically 46 down to 42. And it looks like Tesla is actually holding the best so far. Yeah, Tesla's the only one printing the 5-minute green briefly, sort of flashing between green and red. MicroStrategy struggling a little bit. Trump media getting sold off. If we try and put the percentage on here now and see what they got sold off. So Trump media down 7.5%. Tesla's still going up by the looks of it. 0 fucks. MicroStrategy just over 2% down. What I'll do is I'm going to leave that one on this screen. Let's have a look at Bitcoin, how that's reacted. Not a great deal. So had the open. Let's try and look on the 1 minute and see if anything happened at all. Not really. It was maybe a slightly bullish open there, and it's just because the market was already open throughout the night. Not a great deal has happened with Bitcoin so far, and now everything else is getting priced in across the market. So that's one thing you need to remember as well is, a lot of the time, public news, it gets priced in advance. Don't be that person who, trades off the news, because you're going to be late nearly every single time. All right. Right. So now we've covered those. For now, again, I'll go back to those shortly, but for now, we're going to take a look at the total. Probably have to excuse my drawings on this. I think I've got a big, massive arrow pointing up. Yeah. Um, so yeah, looking at total, I mean, go on the weekly. There we go. All right. So I think I noticed this, little deviation forming below this area. To me, that was a key inflection point, and it's pretty obvious it was because reaction, more reaction, reaction again, below it, back above, couldn't stay below. Probably a little deviation there too. Back up, straight back below, long wick to the downside. Where did it reject from? Same area, back up, reclaim, push, full reclaim here above the downtrend, and now it's printed this nice looking candle to follow. So I don't think there's a great deal to say about that apart from the fact it looks fucking good, and it's being driven mostly by Bitcoin at the minute. I think maybe once Bitcoin starts to consolidate and cool off, I think altcoins, more so the stronger ones, will start to motor through and maybe push this up a little bit. Because I think if we take a look at Total 2, which is all of the alts excluding Bitcoin, so this is including Ethereum too, you can see how it's lagging there. It's not really holding that breakdown level quite yet. But the good thing about this is, if this was to break above here and do something like this, I'd say it's very much game on for altcoins. Okay, especially heading into the new year. I think it's usually from like maybe now to like March, April, where alts have got a very good chance of running. Okay. What we'll do is we'll go over to Total 3, and this will just, well, that's interesting again. So it's actually, if anything, that's actually showing how shit Ethereum is or how weak it is. The reason why I say that is because last time I looked at this, it was actually lagging behind Total 2. So what does that tell you? Ethereum is actually holding back the Total 2 because it's that weak. Take ETH out of the equation, it looks fucking stronger. All right. So all those wanting to long ETH and desperately trying to get in on it, I just, follow the strength instead, give up on it. I'm not saying it won't pump. I believe it will eventually. However, you're going to miss an awful lot, and you're probably going to get a better ROI elsewhere by taking other plays. All right. Easiest way to do that is just to simply go up, bring up a spaghetti chart, put in a bunch of altcoins and see which ones have been the strongest. Even look back and check what altcoins throughout the last week or so, when there was a complete decimation of a lot of altcoins. See actually which ones that maintained structure, which ones had the most shallow retracement. These are all super important points because the ones that show the most resilience during a downturn are going to be the leaders when things get good again. Okay. Others, that's basically everything outside of the top 10. Again, not looking too shabby. You can see there, clear area there of interest, wicks into there, rejection, back up again, reclaim, up, holding here. So again, this is looking quite good for continuation, and these are the altcoins outside the top 10. But again, like I just said, focus on the ones that are trending hard. One moment, I'm just going to jump back to this briefly. Okay, so Tesla's doing really well. It's actually still pumping off the pre. What's that? Probably another 4% going up. Trump's starting to recover. MicroStrategy, neither here nor there, sort of consolidating roughly around where it opened in the pre. There's dominance. So this is just something else again that I use just to search for confluence and how things are in the market. All right. So we can see here quite clearly. Again, just going to take this off the screen because it's just in the way. So you can see here again, inflection point right there. And where does that line up? with the low where we are right now, this low, the break before the impulse of that top of that candle, run it back further. Again, but just to illustrate this further, I'm going to run this right the way back through, and you can see there again, pretty clear inflection point. All right, and that is where altcoins are currently sat on top of that. So again, another nice layer of confluence for dominance of altcoins outside the top 10. Okay. All right, fine. I'll take a look at Ethereum. Fucking hell. I didn't actually realize how bad this looked until, well, I actually did, because I put I put a Sol comparison BTC with this morning, but I didn't actually look at the full chart to see how bad the damage is. And fucking hell, it's been basically down only, well, more so in BTC value since last cycle's high, but obviously it's had a recovery here in USD, but it's just been doing fucking nothing by the looks of it. Let's just pull on the volume profile. Okay, so looking at this now, I say if it's going to bounce anywhere, it's going to be around here somewhere. All right. The reason I say that is you can clearly see here on the volume profile all this activity, and there's the point of control just below it. Not only that, this little candle right here was the spring before this impulse to the upside, right? So if there's ever going to be any sort of recovery, it's going to be within the price we're at now, which is, what's that, 0.035-ish, right the way towards here. So anything from now to 10% drop in BTC value, I think, if you're that much of an Ethereum maxi, then this is where you want to see it bounce and recover. All right. You can see all the activity there. Doesn't take a genius to see that. All right. Let's take a look at the. Let's try and find one that I've not drawn all over. Shit out of luck, but I'll just remove this quickly. There's not a lot on there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is bring up the weekly chart. So looking at this, let's pull up the volume. Probably not the best. This is like the ape pair for all the Bybit Muppets with the excess leverage. But what I will say is, if the price does get back above the 2,800 level, that is where I think a lot of interest will come back in, because all of this within this circle is going to be potential trap shorts. Now, I noticed as well there's a lot of open interest build up with Ethereum, and it's not really doing a great deal. So don't be too surprised if this does actually pump out of this, and then it's going to be maybe off this low that you want to see this reclaim. You want it above here, ideally. You can see there the activity. I think this is probably a poor chart selection. It might be slightly different on a different pair, on a different exchange. But looking at this, you can see a lot of activity there. It gets back above here, and it can start working its way through there again. All right. But same thing again, I think it could go up. It could have a nice move. I just think there's better plays out there. Okay. Just making sure I haven't missed anything else before I move on to Solana, because I'm sure people want to know what I think about Sol. Again, I'm going to try and find a clean chart, but I'm probably going to be hard to find that. I mean, look at that. Missing this, old price history, but we know where that was, around the 260 level all-time high. But I'm not really interested in that right now. I'm just going to look at this. So daily time frame, took out this high, 183, pushing through. Where do you think the liquidity is going to be? Yep, right here. Now that's actually not that far away. What is that? Like maybe 3 or 4%? There's not a great deal in that, I don't think. Let's try and move it up. Yeah, 3.5%. It's not too far. Um, what would I anticipate from this? I mean, maybe run this towards. I think there's going to be people trying to sell just below 200 on the assumption that it breaks through, and we do get a reaction when shorts get liquidated or stopped out when it breaks and runs this high. Let's just try and pop in some sort of psychological level. Rough idea. So there's 200. If it does something like this and it breaks above, hits 200 or stalls just below it, and then this, then I probably expect it to revisit this high, which to me is probably a good entry. The only issue is, where would you put your stop? Because this impulse candle is so big, I'm not sure where your invalidation point would be on this. So that's my only concern with that. If we try and bring in some other layers of confluence, EMA is well off. It's not even close. So we'll try and run the 8s. Yeah, because of this impulse move, they're all super far behind the moving averages. So we'd have to wait for those to sort of catch up to maybe give us some extra data to work from. But in terms of SOL, if it gets pushed back below here on this daily close, it wouldn't really be my favorite close in the world, to be honest. I'd like to see it above and maybe more convincing than this. Let's try to look at the hour time frame. So you can see already on the hourly time frame, just take this out of the way. There's the high. Change that to daily. So I probably should have said that sooner. Green represents weekly, orange daily, and then blue is hourly levels. All right. So that was a daily high running off there, and you can see already broke above, didn't close below, and now it's sort of held, right? It swept the highs from early hours this morning in the UK. Similar thing again, you don't really want to see this break back down, break back down below here and do something like this, because again, it's probably going to be filling in this area and then maybe push back down to this point of control, something like that. All right. Let's just take a look at SOL BTC. Start with the weekly. Okay, now. So first thing I noticed, it looks like a ginormous flag, and then maybe some sort of pennant forming. So if I just draw that in quickly, something like this. Now, if the SOL BTC pair breaks out of here, I think that is going to have a great effect on the USD pair and maybe push that up further. All right. So if we take a look at where all the moving averages fall in now, pop that onto the daily time frame. Above the 50s, I'm going to assume above everything. That's something else that I look out for in the strong trend. If I'm wanting to long something, it has to be above the 50, 100, and 200 on the daily, or I'm just not interested. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's in downtrend. However, when the price starts to flatten out like it has done here, it can become less reliable. They're very much, something that you use in a trend. But still, if I'm going to long something and it's coming out of a trend, potentially breaking out of this, what you want to see is break above this zone, run the highs right here, take it over, more highs here to tee off, something like this. All right. This one, for Sol, we'll check out the Ethereum pair. I mean, what else can you say about that? Absolutely shafted Ethereum in terms of performance. It's actually quite embarrassing. And the one thing about this as well is look how perfectly those fibs work. The run of that high this low, mid-range confluence here with a recent high retest before it had this continuation, just fell short, back down. Retest is this high, probably just fell short. Let's try and zoom in and see that. Not going to be far away. Okay. So what's happened here is you've noticed this candlestick here. It's actually keyed off that daily level perfectly before this. One thing you want to look out for when you want to try and refine levels on lower time frames, in a strong trend, they tend to react well from those wicks before a clear thrust and breakthrough of a critical level being that all-time high zone. Where next? Well, it's going to depend. You know, if Ethereum does break out and show strength, then I wouldn't be entirely shocked if this was maybe range in this box for now. But again, it's going to depend on the individual strength of ETH. If it continues to show weakness, then I wouldn't surprise me for it to break out and just continue going up further again. Right. Finish this off. I'm just going to give an example of 2 trades that I took yesterday and run you through those exactly how I did them and the reasoning behind I took the trade, where the stop placement was, where the entries were. I just thought it was just something a little bit interesting to, add in towards the end just for a little bit of teaching within this video. All right. Well, stream, sorry. So what I'm going to do is let's just try and ignore everything that's happened. So I was watching this yesterday, right? Where's the volume profile? Right, volume profile is back on. So you probably think it looks a bit of a mess at the minute. It's all going to make sense briefly. So tell you what, go to the weekly time frame and just break it down from the top first. So why did I highlight this area here? It's 7.73 on the weekly. You can see there was a low set there on 2 occasions before the clean break, and that was a retest. So for me, that was a key level, and you can see perfect test there again. So anywhere around here and here, I think was a good level to key off. And same again, this week level again, pretty important. Also this weekly, they're 2 levels that I have in. Around the daily time frame. Yeah, he said daily time frame then. Right. I think these are really pissing me off. They're just in the way, but I'm going to try and ignore that for now. But similar thing again, I'm looking for more levels of confluence to add into the area that I was looking on the 1 hour. It's all going to make a lot more sense. You know what? I'm just going to drop down now, make this look a lot easier. If you're wondering why, also I have the fibs in, it's just to look for any layers of confluence in the level that I'm trying to see from. All right. Hourly time frame. Zoom right in. Keep in mind that this is from yesterday morning, and I'll move it along. It's just to walk you through my thought process and what I was thinking at the time and how I actually took this trade. Okay. So when I seen this happening, first thing I noticed, right hand side, quite a fair old liquidity pocket there. And if you've been following me for long enough, you know how much I like these. I spotted one with Solana, I think it was around 20, was it 26 to 30 gap, I think I spotted. And I anticipated that happening, and it basically flew through within minutes. And a lot of people were shocked that it happened, but to me, it wasn't a surprise. It was almost nailed on to happen because of a similar situation to this, right? What I also liked, there's a naked level here. There was no retest directly before it went down. Okay, so I tried to look for further layers of confluence around this little congested area here, because I thought no matter how bullish the news is or was when it started coming through yesterday, I thought it was going to take a lot to get through those hourly levels, the daily level, the weekly level, this hourly level. I thought it was quite a lot to get through it in a single move. I thought it'd run through here pretty fast, but then it would probably stop in its tracks when it reached here, right? So that's where I sort of placed my entry around 8.5 something? I can't really see. I forget the actual entry itself. 8.53, I think it was. I'll have to look in the journal. Anyway, stop placement. So initially, I wanted to place it above this high, but then I thought, right, this is before I added the fib extension in, by the way, just to see those levels. So let's just take this out the way for now. I'll put that back shortly. So I was actually going to put my stop placement just above this wick here, because I thought, right, it's well out of structure. It's above this daily, above this weekly. Yes, it's slightly within this daily, but I thought that weekly would act as a good enough resistance to stop him going through. However, when I noticed the 618 extension was here and it was just a little bit over this daily level, I thought it just made sense to just be out of the way of that as well. So you can see the stop placement was just above that 618. So I had all that in the way. If price is going to get through, there's a lot for it to go through in one attempt. And what I like to see is when the price breaks through here, I want to see a fast and accelerated move straight into here. I don't want to see no shitty drift or anything. I want to see very fast, aggressive price action straight into this level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this forward a little bit. Right, so you can see there, it's starting to break through. And what makes this area super interesting is because this is a point where if you were short on this, you're probably going to get stopped out or liquidated, and it's going to squeeze those out. Momentum traders are going to jump in, and it's also pushing through a critical level, this weekly and daily inflection point, okay? See how fast that went through? Bear in mind, this is the hourly time frame, okay? Straight through, filled me right there, and it actually closed in line with the fill. So let's see what happens after this. So my exit, I'm looking to try and get out at this weekly level. I was a little bit concerned regarding the daily here, and you'll see what happens shortly. Bang. Right, so immediately rejected from this level, which I said would be hard to get through because it hit this here, that inflection point of the structure, the daily and the weekly. Didn't quite reach the weekly time, the weekly level, right? But you can see the stop is still out of reach above that daily and the fib. All right, move this on. So I was thinking, right, surely this is going to take it's going to take me out of this position now. When I first seen that candle starting to push down and it had that horrible wick up here, when it started to do this, I thought, right, surely not. I'm not going to move the stop because the reason I got into the trade is still true. I'm just going to ride this one out and continue it. Okay. Bang. Move it forward. This candle forms. Starts to push down. This time you can see it's rejecting from that level. Okay. Push it on. Finally. That's where I get taken out. And at the same time, I wanted to get a reversal trade on here to play it back up to where it just came from, all right? Because this for me here was obviously a good point to tee off, all right? The reason I say that is because structurally, there are all the previous highs. Normally on the first retest, you're going to get a reaction from it when it reaches those highs. You can see that wick there didn't quite reach those highs. And when it did, let's move this on. Pushing through, bang. So again, another good example of how it pushes through that inefficiency very fast, okay? Move it forward. Still not concerned because it's holding the daily and the weekly level. Stop placement. The reason why I put it there, you can see on the point of control, the volume profile, sorry, a lot of activity. We also have the Monday open. So I actually placed the stop initially below the point of control and the volume profile, but I thought, why not? Just to reduce the R slightly to just below a 2R. I thought I might as well move it a little bit lower so I'm completely out of the way just in case it was to try and visit the POC down here. Move it on again, then bang, out of that trade. So in the space of an evening, managed to get short position off and a long position off, just playing from this inefficiency, little small range that built. All right. Now, I know what happened next, and you're probably going to say, fucking hell, why didn't you stay in this trade? But I didn't want to have, if I can help it, I don't really have overnight risk. I prefer to just be awake and be watching what's going on. I don't want to have a sleepless night if I can help it. So you can see now it starts working its way through. And what you'll notice is, look, hits the mid-range straight through. And again, this is another area we're potentially looking to play mean reversion. I'm not quite sure if it's reached it or has it. There you go. Doesn't quite reach. Brings us to where we're at now. So it's just about missing that stop at the minute, right? What I'd like to see now is, where are we? Pull out the brush. I don't want it to be back above here again. And it needs to push further down. One moment, just checking the sound's still on. Okay, we're still on. So the reason for the trade idea on this one is just purely because of this inflection point and it's in line with the 382. All right. So you can see there, clear resistance, support, break above, up here. And you could argue this is going to be potential trap here. And then what you want to see is this price action form. All right. Or even just straight down. I'm not going for anything groundbreaking. Again, it's just going to be towards the mid-range. However, you can see it actually teed off this price level quite nicely. So I probably could have seen that. But it is what it is. I think that's all I've got for today. So if you have any questions at all on what I've covered today, or you want to know anything else, then, you're more than welcome to send me a message, drop a message in the Educate Discord. Also, I have a YouTube channel. I think this was actually supposed to be streaming on there today alongside Twitch. Whether that actually worked or not, I'll have to double check after this finishes. But yeah, I think that's all I've got. So again, thanks for all tuning in, and I will speak to you again soon. Cheers.